Of course, that's ethically not completely proper here that I sell t-shirts and try to sell tours while I'm still do this tour, but I couldn't find a different spot. So here, Cordyceps, which is club fungus translated. We have 3 species from the Pacific Northwest. There's 2 of them growing on truffles. This is the deer truffle drumstick, Cordyceps capitata, and the snake tongue club fungus, Ophiclossoides. But 99% of the cordyceps only are parasites on insects. Like over here, Cordyceps militaris found near Kent. It takes over an insect and then feeds on the insect. So the sole source of food is an insect. And these are this is very rare finds, although they're all over the globe, militaris, and it's a major medicinal in East Asia. You can buy your preparates in any medicinal shop. And the truffle, where the fungus jumped back from an insect to a truffle. So usually there were parasites on grasses, like you have heard, what's it called? The source of LSD? Ergot, which is that parasite on rye, and which also gives you visions, but it doesn't only give you visions, it kills you in the process. So it was very unpopular in the witches' trials in Salem, where these occurrences were around the time where the summers were wet, where you have a lot of ergot. Anyway, so these are also in this Cordyceps, this ergot, in that family too. So evolutionarily they developed on grains, seem to have jumped on insect, and then some jumped onto these truffles. Now, out here they're pretty rare, but you go in the tropics or East Asia, they're very common. And here this ant, Cordyceps australis, I found in Ecuador. So you go in the rainforest and it's a little moist, you just slow down, look, and you find Cordyceps of all kinds. Most of, hundreds of them are not described yet. I brought this one home from Ecuador. I took to Oregon State University, they ran their DNA new species. Now, I didn't have the paperwork to take it out of the country, so they can't describe it because I broke the rules, so I learned. When I went this year early to Bolivia again, we left all the samples there, and then it's a much slower process. Now, what the star of the Cordyceps is caterpillar fungus, Cordyceps sinensis. You might have seen in the August National Geographic, they had an article on it. I offered them the same article 3-4 years ago, never got a reply, so now they had their own staff writer and staff photographer, and I had the honor of being one of the scientific advisors. So this caterpillar fungus is collected all over the Tibetan Plateau and in the Himalayas, and it's a $1 billion industry. Tibetans, where it grows, it's abundant. 90% of the Tibetan rural income comes from this fungus. People, nomads, buy apartments now in the Chinatowns in Tibet. So it generates an amount of money you can't imagine. Some areas where it's not as abundant, one collection season and you get your motorcycle. But that's happening each year again and again. And so this little guy here is about $5. If it's a little smaller, maybe it's $2. If it's a little bigger, it would be $10, $20. A pound, if it's all broken chunks and you buy it right there, $4,000. You get the biggest size, which are sorted out of many, many collections, but they can be $40,000 a pound. I mean, it's totally out of hand. It's a status symbol. It's a medicinal. Cordycepine is in there. Cordycepine has been proven to be an anti-cancer drug. It hasn't been used therapeutically, but it's been shown how it interrupts cancer cell reproduction. And you have that also in Cordyceps militaris. So not enough research, very expensive original substance, but Cordyceps, for example, you get an organ transplant, you will get cyclosporin, which is made from a Cordyceps. Because these guys figured out how to overcome the immune system of the insects to take them over. So cyclosporin uses the capacity of a Cordyceps to outsmart the immune system of the insect. There's a new drug made, Gelania, for multiple sclerosis, only $3,000 a month. I would buy, for that money, would try the natural thing first and see what happens, but no insurance will pay for that. Which is derived from another Cordyceps. So there's definitely the case that Cordyceps has a lot of active ingredients. We just don't have enough Western medical, double blind, and there's the whole thing about aphrodisiac, being an aphrodisiac. And it's so easy to do a double blind. I mean, you blindfold him and her and you try to figure out what's going on, but nobody does that. So we need more research, but the National Geographic article claimed the whole thing is just bogus. No evidence for that, and they talked about this Chinese lady who felt much better taking it, and then epilogue, she died before the paper was published. It's like the little bit they left in there for giving, for attributing a little bit to the medical propensities was then just killed with this epilogue. And then we had dear Paul Stamets, who sells his stuff out here, and he sells his artificially grown Cordyceps, which probably is not Cordyceps sinensis, but it's something associated with it. They put him actually in there saying you should never buy the natural product. You could get whatever fungus with it. They didn't say buy Paul's product, please. I mean, National Geographic, they had how many editors and scientific advisors and whatnot, and then they let such a sales pitch in there. Anyways, they let me have my mushrooming under the map and the graphic, which was based on my research, and I could have the term in there because I organize, we have moved on to the commercial part of the section. I organize mushroom tours since 6 years or so each year now, 3 to Tibet and the rainforest in spring. I have these cards you can take home, same card, different picture, or you want to leave me emails, and I've been doing that. I have a big webpage, mushrooming with, I just had to move it, it took me months and months. And anyways, and otherwise the best way to learn about mushrooms is joining the Mushroom Club. And it's pretty